Oh, hello. Professor M here. I'm enjoying some fresh bread with some pear honey that I made a while ago. I'm going to roll that video in just a second, but first a couple of comments on it. I did make the video a little while ago, a few months ago. Didn't have the same equipment, some people in the house, it was noisy, so I apologize for the audio and some of the color issues in the video, but I did want to make sure to put this up on YouTube because the pears were a gift from a relative. If I do this again, I would skip the whole part about trying to caramelize some of the pear with some brown sugar. There will be a full recipe in the comments below the video. Thanks for joining me. I'm Professor M. Look forward to seeing you next time. Hello, welcome to another edition of Cooking with the Professor. I'm Professor M. Little help from my friend Leo here if I need it. I'm going to try something a little different tonight. I'm going to try to make some pear butter. I get pears every year from one of my aunts, and beautiful pears. They are not going to keep through the holiday season. They're already ripe. They smell wonderful. I'm going to make some pear butter out of them so that they will last. Pear butter can be made as simply as pears and sugar. I am going to add a little bit of lemon to it for some flavor, and I think I'm going to use a little brown sugar as a substitute for some of the white sugar in the recipe. Again, to add just a little extra flavor to it. I'm going to be drinking a coffee while I cook because it's Christmas Eve. It's past 8 o'clock. Holidays are great. They get a little busy. You know what I mean. But I'm happy to be here, happy to be sharing some time with you. Drink some coffee while I cook. I've got some fruit and cheese here too that will be kind of my dinner while I'm cooking. And I'll get these pears sliced and diced and peeled and whatever else they need into a pot cooking with some sugar. I'll go out to the tree and get a lemon at some point. I'll check back with you, let you know how things are going. Have all my pears here. I just quartered them, sliced out the seeds and the stem. I will put this on kind of a medium temperature, add just a little bit of water to help in the cooking. I'll be adding some sugar lately. I have a new, it's called a potato masher, but as you've seen before, I'm using this for jams and jellies. I have a new one of these. It should work better. It's all metal. And I will use that to crush the pears, strain them at some point, and turn it into pear butter. Have it in here with the water, starting to heat up. I'll keep a close eye on it, turn it down once it starts to really steam up, put a lid on it, that will help cook the pears down. I will smash them, run them through a strainer, add the sugar. Meanwhile, I'll start snacking on my snack. I don't have a true apple or pear strainer we normally use for making applesauce or pear sauce. I'm going to see how well the regular kitchen sieve works. And I think I can put it in here. And by being careful not to break the pear skin, get the pear pulp out and leave the skin without too much trouble. Okay, I'm back. I have run all of this through the regular kitchen sieve. So this is the pear pulp. This wouldn't be far off from a good pear juice right now, maybe a little thick. Might strain it with cheesecloth to make a pear juice. Too watery for pear butter and needs some sugar, so it needs more cooking down. A lot of the recipes for pear butter call for orange zest or cinnamon or other spices like that. I'm trying to keep things really simple in terms of ingredients, both just, I don't know, sort of a philosophy of simple cooking. And as well, I cook for people that have allergies. And the fewer ingredients I put in any one dish recipe, the more people can enjoy it. So I'm going to try a little something here. I'm going to try sticking with pear and sugar, and I'm still deciding if I'm going to put a little lemon juice in, and I probably will. Haven't gone out and picked the lemon yet. But I'm going to use some light brown sugar and a little bit of this pear sauce in a pan, cook it, try to caramelize it just the right amount so it adds a little flavor to it, and put it back in with the rest of the pulp. And I don't know if this is going to work or not. If it ends up burnt, I'll throw it out rather than mixing it back in, and then I'll try the lemon for certain. So here goes an experiment. This is just the pan I had before. I'll put a tablespoon or two of brown sugar in there. Later on, when I mix this pulp back into, when I put it back into the big pan, I will measure it so I know approximately how much sugar to add. But right now I'm just going to use a very small amount. As I said, try to caramelize that in the pan. I hope you can get a good look at that. And that should add some flavor. Very careful not to overdo this. And you should be able to see it's just a very small amount on the bottom of the pan. I'd rather turn it off too soon and have to do it more than burn it. A lot of times in caramelizing, you use butter and sugar. And I'm not doing that this time because one of the people I cook for who has the food restrictions and the allergies is allergic to dairy as well. And folks, I'm going to call that finished and caramelized. It will darken the pear butter just a little bit, but that's all right. It'll add a little more flavor to it than simply the pears and sugar. So I will start transferring the rest of the hot pear into this pan. Well, it's boiling down nicely. It's time to get the sugar in there. I measured the amount of pear that I had. It was just a little bit over 2 cups. The recipes have called for approximately the same amount of sugar as you have liquid pear after it's been strained and so on. I'm going to use just a little bit less than that. You probably remember I usually cook with a little bit less sugar than most of the recipes call for. And I can always add more later. That's easier than taking it out if it gets too sweet. So I'll start with 1.5 cups of sugar. While I'm doing that, Leo will put up the conversion. Stir it in quickly. Now that will need to cook for a while to thicken. Now this is not thickening quite the same way as a jam is because pears don't have a lot of pectin. I removed the skins already and I haven't added much lemon juice the way I do with other things for the natural pectin to turn them into a jam. So this is going to stay kind of like this but thicker. If you've never had pear butter before, and for all I know it's a regional thing from where I grew up, it's like the thickness of a tomato sauce. but it's all pears. So you put it on a piece of bread. You don't usually put it on crackers. You put it on a piece of bread. Very tasty. There's also apple butter. I imagine you can make it with other fruits as well. Apple and pear are probably the most common. I just need to cook that down until it's a little bit thicker. Well, that is boiling nicely. It's thick, as you can sort of see. I made a decision about 15 minutes ago not to add any lemon to try to make true jam. I think this will be enough for the container I was going to put it in anyway. And it's getting thick on its own. So I'm going to let it cool and taste it and see how thick it's becoming and decide if it needs more cooking or not. Now, you know what I say every time when you're making hot jams and jellies, be very careful with it, because it's not much hotter than boiling water, but it will stick to your skin. So I will give this plenty of time to cool off. And just any of these recipes you're following at home, please be careful. Well, if you can see, that is pretty thick on the spoon as is. That's good. Very pear. The caramelized sugar gives it just a hint of richer flavors. In the past, I've noticed jams and jellies taste sweeter when they're hot than they do when they cool down. And this is sweet enough, but I don't think it needs anything more. So I'm going to turn this completely off. Better keep stirring it even though it's been down on low. And I will start getting a jar ready to put this in. I'm back. The pear butter has been cooling. You can see how thick it is. And it will thicken a little bit more in the jar and as it goes in the refrigerator. But it's a spread in the sauce. It's not a jam or jelly. It should be very good. And as I said, the pears were already at their peak ripeness. They were not going to last really even tomorrow if I didn't cook them into something. So this was a good something that I could cook fairly quickly and save and have over the next couple of weeks. I will get this into my container. Let's see if I can do it in minimal mess. Always an adventure, right? I think I can pour it right from the pan, thanks to this funnel. And I am not canning this. I'm just going to seal it up, we'll put a lid on it and put it in the refrigerator. So it won't keep as long as canned food does. It should keep 3 to 6 months, and I think I'm going to eat it in 3 weeks, so I'm not worried about it. Alright, 1 jar of pear butter, fresh from the pears that an aunt sent me for the holidays. I'm not going to pick it up right now because the jar is still hot. That should make some good eating. I'll let it cool down, it goes in the refrigerator, put a label on it. Thanks for joining me for this episode. I hope I see you next time.